When a man stops chasing you, it can feel confusing and even painful, especially if he once pursued you with enthusiasm. The sudden change in behavior can leave you wondering what went wrong, questioning your worth, and feeling the urge to seek answers directly from him. However, the truth is, men don't just stop chasing without a reason. There is always a shift, whether internal or external, that influences his actions. Understanding why he stopped chasing is the first and most crucial step in regaining control of the situation and ensuring that you respond in a way that maintains your self-respect and power. One of the most common reasons a man stops chasing is because the excitement of the pursuit has diminished. In the beginning, the thrill of the unknown fuels his motivation to chase, but as soon as he feels that you're completely within his grasp, that excitement can fade. Men are wired to value what they work for, and when something is easily obtained, it can sometimes feel less meaningful. If you unknowingly made yourself too available, too predictable, or too accommodating, he may have subconsciously lost interest, feeling like there was no more challenge left. Another possible reason is that he's dealing with personal struggles, distractions, or a change in priorities. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes external factors like career pressures, financial stress, family issues, or personal growth journeys can cause a man to withdraw. In such cases, his decision to stop chasing may not even be about you. It may be about his need to refocus on himself. The problem arises when you internalize his withdrawal as a reflection of your worth, leading you to chase after him, which can actually push him further away. Sometimes a man stops chasing because he feels unappreciated or that his efforts aren't being recognized. Men, like women, want to feel valued in a relationship. If he was the one consistently putting in effort, texting first, planning dates, showing affection, and at some point he felt like it was one-sided, he might have decided to pull back. This is often a test to see if you will step up or if you even notice his absence. And he wants to feel that you're as invested as he is. And if he doesn't, he may stop chasing to see if you will reciprocate or let him go without a fight. Another reason could be that he no longer sees you as the woman he was initially drawn to. This can happen when the dynamic shifts too soon. Maybe you started prioritizing him over your own goals, lost a sense of mystery, or became too dependent on his presence for validation. Men are naturally drawn to women who maintain their own identity, confidence, and purpose. If he felt that the version of you he was attracted to initially started fading, he may have distanced himself without even realizing why. Sometimes men also stop chasing because they sense a shift in the balance of power. If you started out as someone he admired, respected, and even felt slightly intimidated by, but over time he realized you were seeking his approval or validation, the attraction dynamic could change. Men want to be with someone they feel is their equal or even slightly above them in certain aspects. The moment he senses that you're trying too hard to win him over, he might lose interest. One of the most difficult truths to accept is that sometimes a man stops chasing because he has found interest elsewhere. This doesn't necessarily mean he's moved on to another woman, but it could mean that something else has caught his attention, whether it's a new hobby, a career opportunity, or personal growth. Men are often driven by their sense of purpose, and if they feel like they need to focus on something else, they may put romantic pursuits on the back burner. The mistake many women make in this situation is trying to pull him back with emotional reactions, which can make him feel even more suffocated. Regardless of the reason, the worst thing you can do when a man stops chasing is to panic and react impulsively. Many women, out of fear of losing him, start overcompensating, texting more, trying to prove their worth, asking for clarity, or even begging for attention. This not only lowers your value in his eyes, but also confirms to him that he was right to pull away. Instead, the most powerful thing you can do is recognize the situation for what it is, take a step back, and give him space to either realize your value or make his decision clear. Understanding why he stopped chasing is about gaining clarity, not about blaming yourself or making drastic moves to win him back. The key is to shift your perspective from seeking his validation to understanding your own worth. Once you recognize the root cause, you can decide how to respond in a way that keeps your dignity intact and ensures that you remain in control of your emotions. When a man stops chasing you, your first instinct might be to chase him in return. to seek answers, to prove your worth, or to remind him of what he's losing. But that approach rarely works. It often does the opposite, pushing him further away and making you feel worse in the process. Instead, the most powerful thing you can do in this situation is to shift your focus back onto yourself. The moment you stop reacting to his distance and start investing in your own growth, you regain the power in the situation. The key is understanding that the energy you give to chasing him is energy you should be using to build yourself up. One of the first things to do when a man stops chasing you is to resist the urge to seek validation from him. It's natural to want closure, to understand what went wrong, or to feel the need to make him see your value. But the more you try to convince someone to stay or chase after them when they're pulling away, the less attractive you become in their eyes. Men are drawn to confidence, to women who are secure in themselves and who don't need external validation to feel worthy. The moment you show desperation or insecurity, it shifts the dynamic. He no longer sees you as the woman he once admired. Instead of looking outward for answers, this is the time to turn inward. Ask yourself, were you losing yourself in the process of wanting him to chase you? Were you prioritizing his attention over your own growth? Were you making him the center of your world at the expense of your own goals, passions, and self-worth? Oftentimes, when a man stops chasing, it's not just about him. It's a signal for you to refocus on yourself. It's a sign that you need to regain your balance, to remember who you were before you place so much importance on his pursuit. The best thing you can do in this moment is to stop engaging in any behavior that makes you seem desperate. That means no excessive texting, no calling to ask where things stand, and no emotional outbursts trying to make him feel guilty for pulling away. Instead, go completely silent, let him wonder, let him feel your absence. A man only truly realizes a woman's value when he notices the space he once occupied in his life. And that realization only happens when she pulls back, not when she chases harder. But silence alone isn't enough. It's what you do with that silence that matters. This is your chance to elevate yourself, to transform into the best version of you. Focus on your fitness, your career, your passions, and your social life. When you shift your energy into self-improvement, it does two things. First, it makes you feel better about yourself. And second, it sends a powerful message to him without you having to say a word. When he sees you glowing, thriving, and unbothered, it forces him to reevaluate his decision. It makes him question whether he was wrong to stop chasing. Men are naturally drawn to what they feel they can't fully have. The moment he sees that you are unattached to the outcome, that his absence doesn't define your happiness, his curiosity will be piqued. He will start to wonder why you aren't reacting the way he expected. And in many cases, that's the very thing that makes him come back. The irony is, the less you try to pull him back, the more likely he is to return. But here's the thing. You don't do this for him. You don't shift your focus onto yourself just to manipulate a reaction out of him. You do it because you deserve it. You do it because you owe it to yourself to be the best, most powerful, most unstoppable version of who you are. A man's attention, his pursuit, or his lack thereof should never dictate your worth. The moment you truly internalize that, you become untouchable. And the best part, whether he comes back or not, you win. Because the truth is, if he stopped chasing, it means he didn't see your full value at that time. And sometimes, when a man doesn't recognize your worth, it's not a loss, it's a blessing. The right man will never need to be convinced. He will see your value and he will put in the effort willingly. So instead of focusing on what you've lost, focus on everything you are about to gain. The moment you truly put yourself first, everything else falls into place. When a man stops chasing you, it's easy to fall into the trap of self-doubt. You start questioning yourself. Was it something you did? Were you not good enough? Should you have acted differently? These thoughts consume your mind, making you overanalyze every interaction, every conversation, every moment that led to his sudden loss of interest. But this is exactly where most people go wrong. Instead of trying to decode his behavior, the most powerful thing you can do is shift your mindset entirely. The truth is, when a man stops chasing, it's not always about you. People's feelings shift, priorities change, and sometimes they simply take you for granted because they assume you'll always be there. And that's the key. When someone starts assuming your presence is guaranteed, they stop valuing it. That's why the worst thing you can do in this situation is to start chasing him in return. The The moment you do that, you reinforce the idea that you need him more than he needs you. And that is a dangerous position to be in. Instead of panicking or trying to get his attention back, you need to detach completely. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop attaching your self-worth to his actions. It means you stop giving him the power to dictate how you feel about yourself. And most importantly, it means you step back and let him feel your absence. One of the biggest mistakes people make when a man stops chasing is trying to force a reaction. They call, text, try to remind him of the good times, or attempt to guilt trip him into seeing their worth. But all of these actions only push him further away. Why? Because they come from a place of desperation. And desperation is never attractive. What's attractive is confidence. What's attractive is knowing that whether he stays or goes, you are still that woman, unshaken, unbothered, and thriving. Now, this doesn't mean you play games. It's not about pretending to be happy while secretly checking your phone every 5 minutes, hoping he reaches out. It's about genuinely shifting your focus back onto yourself. Start pouring your energy into your own life, your goals, your passions, and your personal growth. Become so focused on your own journey that his absence doesn't feel like a loss, it feels like an opportunity. An opportunity to elevate yourself, to refine your standards, and to become the kind of woman who doesn't chase. She attracts. When you truly embrace this mindset, something interesting happens. The moment you stop seeking his validation, he starts wondering why. He starts questioning why you aren't reacting the way he expected, and suddenly he realizes what he's losing. That's the irony of human nature. We often only appreciate something once we feel its absence. But here's the key. By the time he realizes it, you won't be waiting around for him anymore. The ultimate power move in this situation is to outgrow him. Not in a petty way, not as a way to prove a point, but because you genuinely evolve into someone who no longer seeks external validation to feel complete. When you become that woman, the one who knows her worth, who doesn't need to beg for attention, and who radiates confidence, men notice. They feel it. And often, the very man who stopped chasing will come running back. But the question is, will you even want him anymore? Because the truth is, when you do the work on yourself, when you level up mentally, emotionally, and physically, your standards rise. You start attracting better. You start realizing that you don't need to convince anyone of your worth. The right man will see it on his own. And when that happens, you'll look back and realize that the moment he stopped chasing was not a loss, it was a lesson that taught you to put yourself first. A lesson that taught you that the right person will never need to be chased. And most importantly, a lesson that showed you that the power was never in his hands. It was in yours all along. When a man stops chasing you, the instinctive reaction is to panic, to wonder what went wrong, to analyze every detail of your interactions. You replay conversations in your head, scrutinizing the moments that might have pushed him away. The doubt creeps in, whispering thoughts of self-blame, making you believe that maybe, just maybe, if you had done something differently, he would still be pursuing you with the same intensity. But this line of thinking is where you lose your power. Because the truth is, the moment he stops chasing is the moment you must shift your energy away from him and back onto yourself. It's a hard pill to swallow, but one of the fundamental truths about human nature is that people value what they feel they might lose. It's why we instinctively hold on tighter when we feel something slipping away. But when something is always there, always accessible, always available, we begin to take it for granted. This is the reality of relationships and attraction. A man who once admired you, desired you, and pursued you with passion can slowly lose interest. Not necessarily because something changed in you, but because he stopped feeling the thrill of earning your presence. So what do? Do you call him out? Do you demand an explanation? Do you remind him of how much effort you put into this connection? No. That's where many go wrong. The real power move is silence. Not passive silence where you secretly hope he notices your absence, but an empowered silence that comes from a place of self-worth. A silence that says, I don't chase, I don't beg, I don't need to convince anyone of my value. And that's the moment he starts to wonder. He expects you to reach out. He expects the late night messages, the sudden coincidental run-ins, the desperate attempts to reignite what he let die. But when those don't come, that's when reality hits him. He realizes something has shifted, something has changed. You are no longer playing by his rules. You are no longer giving him the satisfaction of knowing that he still has you wrapped around his finger. And that's unsettling, because deep down, even if he stopped chasing, he expected you to keep waiting. This is where the transformation happens, not in him, but in you. Instead of focusing on why he pulled away, you redirect that focus onto yourself. You start investing in your own growth, your own happiness, your own goals. You channel your energy into becoming the kind of woman who doesn't wait for a man to realize her worth because she already knows it. And when you operate from this mindset, something incredible happens. You begin to radiate a different energy, an energy of self-assurance, independence, and confidence. And whether you realize it or not, that energy is magnetic. Suddenly, the man who once thought he could walk away without consequence starts to feel the weight of your absence. He sees you thriving, glowing, moving forward without a hint of desperation, and it makes him question everything. He wonders why you're not chasing him. He wonders if you found someone else. He wonders if he made a mistake. Because for the first time, he's experiencing the one thing he never expected: your indifference. And that indifference is powerful. But here's the catch. By the time he realizes what he's lost, you may not even care anymore. That's the beauty of focusing on yourself. The things that once consumed your thoughts, the people who once had power over your emotions, they lose their grip. You become someone who doesn't need external validation to feel whole. And that is when you attract not just him back, but better. Because the truth is, the right man won't need to be reminded of your worth. The right man won't stop chasing, only to return when he sees you've moved on. The right man will cherish, respect, and value you from the start. And when you operate from a place of self-respect and self-love, you create space for that kind of love to enter your life. So when a man stops chasing you, don't react, elevate. Let him feel the void of your absence. Let him realize that you were never the one who needed him. And when he comes back, if he comes back, you will be in a place where you can decide, not out of loneliness, not out of attachment, but out of clarity, whether or not he even deserves another chance. Because the real lesson here is this: you are not an option. You are the prize. And the moment you start treating yourself as one, the world will follow.